Good morning. Welcome to Crosspoint. Talk loud.
Okay, I will. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Well, let me introduce ourselves. My name is Rick Stewart. This is my wife, Stephanie.
Hello.
And if you're a first-time guest here at Crosspoint, we have got a terrific gift out for you. Just go out to the foyer, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's really, really neat.
It is nice.
And we want to let you know that our mission here at Crosspoint is to lead people to passionate followers of Christ. So.
And we are in the second week of our series titled 4, which is these big letters back here.
If you haven't guessed that.
Yeah, and you know what, Rick? I was thinking, actually, remember when I was in high school, and a really wise person by the name of John Cougar.
John Cougar Mellencamp.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. She got some fans.
He was very wise. He told me that if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything.
I remember that song.
So I thought it would be fun to see what everybody here would stand for, or fall for.
Fall for.
So if you are for U.S. domination in the Olympics, stand up. Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, good. Everybody's on board with that.
Okay.
If you are for curling, keep standing.
Oh, we lost a few people there.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Some of us really like it.
Brian Payne's all about curling. I think he should be on the team. Yeah. Okay. Here's one good, everybody. If you are for an early spring. Yes. Yeah. Everybody's up. Yep. Get rid of that little bit of snow we got this morning.
That's good. 100% on that.
I'm done with that.
If you are for funny cat videos, keep standing.
Everybody down.
She's really excited.
Who is?
They are funny. They're very funny.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now this is a little tricky here, so pay attention. If your age ends with a 4, if you're 4, 14, 24, that's as far as I'm going to go, or the date of your birthday ends with 4, please stand up. Hey, there's more. This is about the most we've had.
Yeah,
all right,
good.
Danny.
That's good. Okay, well, everybody else, stand up and give each other high fours.
Well, I've got one more. One more.
What is it?
I forgot.
Okay. High fours, everybody.
Yes.
What you waiting for?
407 years ago.
What you waiting for? What you waiting?
Well, hey, we are glad you are here today. I am continuing the T-shirt theme throughout this series, so I'll go ahead and read it to you now. It says, a ship in port is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. But I'll explain that later. Okay, we'll get to that. I just wanted you so every time you look at it, you're not doing that thing and trying to figure out. I want to talk to you about the Olympics for a little bit. Just out of utter curiosity, this has nothing to do with the message or anything like that. This is just a random survey for my fun. How many of you, you watch the Olympics? I watch the, just this? Where is your, pride in the nation, stuff like that? Okay, now how many of you would go, all right, I don't just watch the Olympics, but, if there's something that has anything to do with the Olympics on TV, I'm in. How many of you are in? Okay, wow, Okay, well, I've got another more important thing to do this morning. The Olympics are great, people. They're awesome. I love, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's Olympics, I am, psyched out of my mind about it. I just think the Olympics are amazing. I do, however, I like the Summer Olympics way more than the Winter Olympics because I just feel... Okay, we got a woo crowd this morning. I'm excited. I just feel like in the Winter Olympics, we're not necessarily getting the best athletes. And I'm not saying that to be mean against anyone who's, if you've got a family member in the Winter Olympics, I'm not trying to dog them. I'm just saying, I think some of the events are so specific that I'm not convinced, our losers are the best losers who have ever been born. And because, some of them, it's much more about... your willingness to die than your actual athletic ability. Because, this is what we did is we said, hey, we've got this guy going down this tiny track on his back. We'll call it the luge. And then it said, hey, that's not dangerous enough. Let's flip him over and put him face forward and call it the skeleton, which is what he will be should anything go wrong on his trip down. So, we actually, in our small group this past week, I had our group leader delay the message because curling was on. The discussion can wait. I've got to figure out there we go. I love curling. I think it's fascinating. I have no idea what's going on. I have this theory that I think all curlers, that their houses are actually a mess because they don't want to bring their work home for them. And I heard you've been training all day today. I don't want to sweep anything else. So I really, if there's anything that has to do with the Olympics on, I love it. And one of my favorite things with the Olympics is the human interest stories that they play before the different things. So it's the really sappy things that tell you the background, stuff like that. And I don't mean to spoil this for you, but if you haven't already figured it out, the people who they play the human interest stories are the people who get the medals. They never go oh, human interest story. And then she finished dead last. They don't do this. So if there's an interest story that's they did pretty well. But one of them, I was reading up on just some different things that were going on before the Olympics came. And one was the story of these two sisters, Tracy Barnes and Lanny Barnes. And Tracy Barnes and Lanny Barnes, they are identical twin sisters, and they both compete in the biathlon. Now, if you don't know what the biathlon is, I have no idea how it became to be an Olympic sport. I'm sure someone knows. There's a background, there's a history there somewhere. But the biathlon is when you ski and then you pull out your gun and you shoot stuff and then you ski some more, which was what? How did that? Jerry Seinfeld said he feels like the biathlon is the equivalent of swim and then strangle a guy and then swim some more. So Tracy and Lanny Barnes, they both compete in the biathlon, and they've been training together since they were 16 years old. So for the last 15 years, they've been training together for the biathlon. And they both made, if I get these dates right, they both made the 2006 Olympics. In 2010, only Lanny qualified for the Olympics. And then this year, they're both about, I think, 31. And they were both expected to make it because the internet tells me that's when you're in the prime of your biathlon career. I'll just take the internet's word for it. So they were both expecting to make the Olympics, and right before the U.S. qualifiers, Lanny got really, really sick. And so whenever they actually held the events to qualify for the Olympics, she still competed, but she didn't do nearly as well as she expected. And at the end of the day, Tracy finished 5th, and Laney finished 6th. Now, you only take the top 5 spots. And so one of the twin sisters who had been training forever together qualified, and the other one didn't. Now, here's the interesting thing, is then this is when the story kind of came out, is Tracy is married, she's got a family, and she said that she felt like along the way, Laney took a lot of pressure off her of talking to reporters and doing different things to give her that extra time with her family. So when she found all this out, she came to Laney and said, I am giving up my spot, which meant it would automatically go to her sister. And Laney's response immediately was like, no, there's no way. You've worked hard on this. And she goes, no, I'm giving it up. There's nothing you can do about it. I want you to have it. And so whenever she landed in Russia, reporters immediately were coming like right up to her and asking her how she felt, and she was just saying like, I don't even feel like I properly got to express my gratitude to my sister for what she did for me. And then she says this, any medals that I win will be hers. Like, isn't that awesome? Like, I mean, if we had that like nice NBC music in the background, we'd all be real misty-eyed right now, wouldn't we? And then Bob Costas, no, not Bob Costas, would come up. All right, I just need to say this. I am so mad that they kicked Bob Costas off. I don't care if his eye was creepy looking because it was infected. Whatever. All right, I digress. My bad. But I just think that story is so incredible of someone who would be willing to give up all that for her sister, even though she worked just as hard as she did along the way, but she'd be willing to give it up along the way. Which leads me to a question that I want to ask you this morning, and that is, what would you be willing to do to help a friend in need? What would you be willing to do to help a friend in need? And here's my guess what your answer would be. Well, anything, right? Anything. I'd be willing to do anything to help a friend or family member or someone I cared about. If they had a need, I'd be willing to do anything. And you're right. It's interesting because I get to walk with people through some difficult spots in their life. And it's amazing how often when someone has like an accident or a loss or is going through a difficult time, to see how people rally around them very quickly. And the thing that almost everyone says, and they wholeheartedly mean it, is if you need anything, just let me know. If you need absolutely anything, you've got my number, just let me know. And people really, really mean that. And it's so cool to watch how people rally around each other. And that's what the story of Tracy and Laney is that I'd be willing to give up my dreams and my hopes for you so that you can have them instead. Now, what if I switch that question just a little bit to this? What would you be willing to do to help a friend before they were in need? It gets a little more complicated, doesn't it? Like when something bad happens, when something difficult happens, our ability to come in there and say, hey, anything you need, I'll be there. But if things are fine, nobody usually comes up and just be like to you, hey, if you need anything, just let me know. Like that would kind of weird you out, wouldn't it? You're like, am I dying? Like, no one tell me this? Like, is something bad going to happen to me? Because I don't get where this came in. And this points me to two different types of giving that I want to talk about. And I just want to explain these real quickly. The first type of giving that we often talk about is response giving. And that is when something bad happens, we respond to it. Do you like how I was real creative with the title on response giving? And response giving is the most common form of giving that we see today. This is in terms of national things, maybe things of people who you don't know about. This is like when there's an earthquake or a hurricane or things like that. There's forest fires. There's something in that realm. And so what happens is that there is a moment of crisis. And so people will give time, they'll give money, they'll give all these different things to avert that crisis. And so what response giving is it's extremely high sacrifice for a very short period of time. And what it does is it tries to take something that is at a crisis level and take it up to okay. Now, there's another type of giving that is far more important and far more powerful, and that is preventative giving. Now, preventative giving is the type of giving that we almost never, ever talk about. Because preventative giving, there is no crisis. There is nothing. What it does is it takes things that are okay and takes them to great. And so it's easy to kind of rally around something when there's a crisis and go, oh, we've got to get them back on their feet. Whether it's a national thing, if it's a personal thing, someone had an accident, someone got sick, things along those lines, someone experienced a loss. It's easy to rally around really quickly when there's a crisis, but for preventative giving, we go, hey, everything is okay. Like nothing's terribly wrong right now, but we're going to take it from okay to great. The differences in preventative giving then is it's not a high level of sacrifice, it's a low level of sacrifice, but you have to do it for long periods of time for it to actually have an impact. And this is why this is so important to me, is we're in the second week of the series titled 4. And this is the big idea of the series, is that in an age when churches are known by all the things that they are against, we need to be reminded that God is for us, which means that we are for people. And when I say for people, I mean for people. We're not for their issues, we're not for their problems, we are for them. Because God stands for people, and so do we. And what we talked about last week is we talked about a form of preventative giving, and we showed you these numbers. Catch you up if this is new to you. We said that in a 20-mile radius around Maysville, there are over 82,000 people, and over 50,000 of them are unchurched. They don't have a church home. They don't have a church to go to. So we said, you know what, that's a problem. That's a big problem. And so we illustrated it like this. We said, hey, here's the deal. The green dots represent those who don't have a church home. The white dots represent those who do. And the red dots represent the impact that we've already made. And so we've got a lot of work left to do as a church. We've got a lot of people who still need to be reached. And so we said our goal on this was to raise $75,000 to make the building we bought functional and what we need it to be. And I'm not going to get into all that stuff today. You can watch the message last week. You can talk to me afterwards, something like that. I don't want to go through that. But if you'd like to participate and be a part of that, we have pledge cards out at the welcome table that you can pick up that we'll be collecting throughout the series. So again, you can check out the message online or the blogs or different things to figure out what's going on with that. But what that is that is a form of preventative giving. Like in terms of the over 50,000 people who are unchurched, honestly, there is no crisis. Now, I could almost hyper-spiritualize it a little bit and kind of give well, you never know, you could die in a car wreck on the way home, which I wholeheartedly believe, I really do. But like for those people, for their lives and what's going on with them right now, they don't see a crisis. There is no crisis. And so what we're talking about there is a form of preventative giving, of we are trying to keep these problems and all the other problems that could come up, we're trying to keep them from happening. Today I want to talk about another form of preventative giving that for you has nothing to do with money. So if you're worried about the money side of it, you can just go ahead and kind of brush that off your back. Like, okay, we're good to go. He said we're not talking about money. I don't know if I trust him, but I feel like I should, which I say, yeah, you should. You should trust me. We're not going to talk about money. But the type of preventative giving that we're going to talk about today is seemingly so insignificant. It really is. It seems so small and so little that we often gloss over it, that we often don't think about it. It's one of the last things that come to our minds, just because it doesn't seem to matter that much. So I want to go ahead and look at it with you today. If you have your Bible, open it up to Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1, and we're going to be looking at verse 11 and 12. Romans chapter 1, verse 11 and 12. And this is how it starts. He says, I long to see you so that I may impart to you some spiritual gift to make you strong. Now, I want to explain what's happening there, because this is really important. Again, this is kind of the intro that I give for him every time. This is written by the Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul did this incredible thing. Jesus had these 12 followers who, when Jesus went back to heaven, they said, hey, we're going to stay in Jerusalem. Paul said, you guys do that. I'll take the rest of the world. And so he does. And he travels all over. He takes 3 different journeys, planting churches, writing letters, doing all these different things. And along the way, he writes a letter back to the church in Rome, which is where we get the book of Romans. And so you've got to get the context for this, because this is very important. So, like, we read this in our Bibles, and we'll kind of, okay, there it is. For them, when the churches would gather in homes or all the different places they would gather, this would have been read aloud. And so this is important. There is no crisis. Like, they had their everyday issues, but there is no crisis happening here. And so what he's talking about is not response giving, it's preventative giving. And so he says, I want to give you a gift that will make you strong. Now look at it like this. This is incredible. This is the Apostle Paul, like a spiritual powerhouse, a hero of the faith. And he says, I want to give you a gift that will make you strong. Like, I'd be pretty pumped, wouldn't you? Like, I hope this doesn't make me sound too egotistical or anything like that, but if someone tells me that they have a gift for me, I'm kind of excited, right? And that, hey, I got a gift for you. I'm like, okay, cool. Except for the time that my daughter, Maddie, gave me a poopy diaper after she said, I got a gift for you. And I was like, oh, like, not accepting any more gifts from you. But it's just kind of like if someone says they've got a gift, I'm fairly excited about it. And so we've got the Apostle Paul here, and he goes, I've got a gift that's going to make you strong. Like, just imagine in the churches, like a murmur would have gone out throughout the crowd. Like, Paul's going to give us a gift. Like, what do you think it is? I don't know. You think it's like a Bible that will actually understand what it's really saying? Like, oh, that'd be awesome. Do they make those? Bet you Paul has one. I don't know. Do you think it's a PS4? I don't even know what a PS4 is, but I bet you Paul has one. Like they would be pretty pumped. Like, I'm going to give you a gift that's going to make you strong. And so, like, people would have just been so psyched out of their minds. Like, Paul's going to bring us a gift, and it's going to make us strong. And then Paul tells them what the gift is. He says this, that is, that you and I may be mutually encouraged by each other's faith. Yay! So what's he say here? He goes, I'm going to give you a gift that's going to make you strong. Me and you, we're going to hang out. Like, what? Like, did any husbands try to Paul for Valentine's Day? Like, what'd you get me? Right here, honey. I got your gift right. It was like, get out. There's been a lot written as to why the Apostle Paul never got married. I can tell you why he didn't get married. You try to pull that more than one Valentine's Day, that's not going over well. And so that's where he's going. He's like, hey, I'm going to give you a gift. It's me. It's like, what? Like, doesn't it seem like such a letdown? Doesn't it seem like just an incredible disappointment? He's going to bring us a gift. And he goes, we're going to hang out. Now, you would think his gift would be worthless, honestly, until you've been in this moment, where you sit down with a friend or a group of friends, and you've got this thing that's just been weighing on you, and it's not a crisis, but it's an issue with your job or money concerns or your parents or your kids or your friends, your future. You've just got this thing that's just been weighing on you over time. And you've kind of held it in and you've kind of stuck with it. And then for some reason, you don't know if it's just because of the stress, you're sick of thinking about it, you're sick of having long conversations with yourself in the shower, you're sick of not understanding what's going to happen. For some reason, when you sit down with your group of friends this time, you just start talking. And you share your struggles. And you share your doubts and your frustrations. And you just start telling people your story. These people who you care about, who you like, but who you very much respect what they think of you, so you've held this in up until this point in time. And you just share your story, and you kind of look at yourself from that third-person view as you're doing it, and you're going, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm sharing this stuff. I can't believe I'm saying this. What do they think about me? But you keep going. And so you just share detail after detail. And then you finish. And there's just that incredibly awkward second of silence. And all your worst fears and doubts into your head of, what are they going to think of me? What are they going to say? How are they going to judge me? And they respond with this. What? You too? I thought I was the only one. You've probably been there. Where you feel like this thing that you were going through, this issue that you were struggling with, that you were the only one. And when you actually let it out, someone responded with, you too? I thought it was just me. Now, if we're serious about this, what happens in that moment? Do any of your circumstances change? No. Do any of your problems change? No. But do you feel different? Absolutely. Because those two words are two of the most powerful words in the world. Me too. You know, I'm really struggling with my job. Me too. You know what? Honestly, I'm really worried about my kids. They became teenagers, and they hate everyone now, at least everyone in our family. I don't know what I'm going to do. Me too. And we go through all these different issues and all these different struggles, and we tell ourselves, and we think over time that they're only us, that we're the only people, we're the only person who is struggling with this. We're the only person who is dealing with this. And it feels like this massive, massive weight on our shoulders because it's just us who is going through this. And then to share it and have someone else just respond with, me too. It changes everything. It changes everything. And here's the real tendency of it, is when you go through something like that, is you tell yourself, or you have a tendency to believe that it's just an emotional thing. Well, I just feel better when I talk about this. I just feel better. And the issue is you don't just feel better, or you don't just feel stronger. You become strong in that moment. That's what's happening. You are becoming strong in that interaction. Poorly timed water drink. Let me keep going. Here's how it works out, is because in those moments you have all these different voices of critics who are coming in and they're telling you you're wrong, you can't do this, you can't handle this, this isn't going to work out, things aren't going to go as you hoped they would. And what happens is that when you have those interactions and you can share those stories, what you do is you are able to block out all those other voices, and they become insignificant to you, right? They don't matter nearly as much because there is one other person who says, me too. And I go, you can do this. We can do this. We can get through this. And so what Paul's pointing to is this, is that honestly, at the end of the day, even though it's a goofy thing, and I wouldn't exercise this on Valentine's Day because it's not going to work, but he says at the end of the day, the best gift that I can give you is myself. And the best gift that you can give me is yourself. And that's how it works. The best thing that we could possibly do for each other is to give each other our presence. Because in that moment, we become strong. Now, here's the deal, is that relationships like that, they don't form in a crisis. They form when things are okay. They don't form when things are terrible. They may be strengthened then, but they form when things are fine. Let me give you an example of this. This has been a number of years ago, but the first time me and my wife Bethany were pregnant, she was pregnant. Just to be clear, we weren't pregnant, but she was pregnant. She had a miscarriage. I think it was around 10 or 12 weeks or somewhere in there, but she had a miscarriage. And let me tell you what didn't help, is when people who I didn't know came up to me and gave me a hug. Now, that may sound like totally heartless, and you may be like, Kevin, you're kind of a jerk, which is like, that's okay, you can think that. But like, I'm serious about that. Like, when people would come up to me who I didn't know, who I had no history with, who, for some of them I didn't even know their name, and they would come up and give me a hug, and say, it just, honestly, it meant nothing to me. It felt weird. It felt really awkward. But you know what made all the difference in the world? Is when people who we cared about came up beside us and shared stories. And sometimes they were just there. Sometimes they didn't even say anything, but they were just in the same room with us. I had the first pastoral call that I ever got. I was a youth pastor, and I had a kid who I love to this day in my youth group, and someone close to him and his family had passed away. And so I got a call at like 2 a.m. and it was like, so-and-so has passed away, will you come? And I'm like, I was like 22 at the time, and I'm thinking, what do I do? Like, what do I say? I have no idea. And so I went over to their house, and I just sat in the room with them for like 2 hours, and then I left. And I got a call from his parents afterwards, and it was just like, thank you so much. Like, it was just so much better after you were there. He's doing so much better now. And I'm thinking, like, I didn't do anything. Like, I sat on the couch and drank water. Like, that's it. And honestly, this is terrible. I was like, I completely forgot to pray. like as a pastor, that's the thing you're supposed to remember. Like, I was so out of my element. I didn't even remember to pray for him at the time. But it was just like, thank you so much, because that's what happens. Now, here's the issue: is you don't form those relationships in the crisis, okay? Because when you're a stranger coming in, that doesn't mean anything. You form it when things are okay. And then when things get bad or things are good, those people are there. And they're the people who make you strong. This is honestly, as a pastor, this is one of the things that I have the hardest time with. Because sometimes someone will be going through a hard time, and they'll call me and be like, we really need some people to rally around us. They don't say it in those words, but that's what they're asking. And I just kind of think, like, I really wish you would have put in the investment ahead of time. Because at this point in time, like, I can be there, but there's not much else I can do. But if you put in that investment ahead of time, when you get to the spot, you're not calling me up and going, we need some people. Like, honestly, what happens in our church is people text or call their small group. And I'm usually one of the last ones to know, which I don't love, but that's what happens, because they already know that there's those people there in their life who will come and who will rally around them. Now, here's the really hard thing, is that when things are okay, community is the first thing to go. Like when things are okay in your life, the relationships that make the biggest difference are the first thing that we kind of put off of our schedule, because we're busy. And so it's, hey, do you want to grab dinner? We're just, sorry, things are crazy tonight. Hey, do you want to hang out this weekend? I'm sorry, we're just in a really busy season. And this isn't new to us. Let me show you. This happens in the book of Hebrews. And this is chapter 10, verse 23 through 25. And this is what he says: let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another. Isn't that amazing? That was true back in the Bible then. He's saying, hey, we have this faith, we have this hope, it's important. And let's remember, let's not give up meeting together. And he's saying that's the first thing to go. When things are fine, community is the first thing that seems irrelevant to us. But when we're in a crisis mode, it's the thing that we most desperately need. And so the question then comes up is, how do we get this to happen? And so for us as a church, we have groups. And so the question is, okay, so how, when we have groups and things like that? Because honestly, what we're really talking about at the end of the day is friends who we can count on, right? Like friends who we can be real with. We say, hey, this is me. This is what I'm going through. And so the question comes in, okay, so how do we get that to occur? How do we get that to take place? And we hoped it'd actually be something like this.
Play a game. All right. On the count of 3, name your favorite dinosaur. Don't even think about it. Just name it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Velociraptor.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yup.
Do you want to go do karate in the garage?
Yup.
I've been dying to use that clip for a while. I finally figured out a spot that I can make it work. It made me really happy. Okay, so let's just say that's not how it happens. What's your favorite dinosaur? On 3, okay? That's not how you form those relationships. I want to show you a couple things that we've learned over the last 4 years in terms of how community happens and how groups function at their best. And so I just want to show you these because I hope it explains why we do things how we do today. And so it makes sense. So I'll just go through these fast. First of all, we've learned is that groups that we form need to be long-term but not permanent. For most churches, they have groups that meet for 8 to 10 weeks. What happens in that span of time is you know each other long enough to actually be able to remember everyone's name, which isn't that just so awkward when you're in a group with someone and you're just still, hey, fella? And I've been there. So you usually know people long enough to learn everybody's name and their kids' names, and then your group disbands. But we've also learned that they can't be together forever, because what happens is that when a group is together forever and the same people over and over again, you have a tendency not to be vulnerable because you're just too comfortable with each other. There's a level of being comfortable that you feel free to share, and a level of being comfortable that I don't want to talk about anything that really matters. And so we know that groups need to be long-term but not permanent. Second thing we've learned is that relationships trump content. Relationships trump content. Now, if you're a teacher, just hang with me, okay? Because you're going to want to throw stuff at me for the first 30 seconds, but I'll redeem myself at the end, okay? All right, we're good. I cannot remember a single thing or a single lesson that one of my teachers growing up taught me. Now, I know I learned stuff along the way, okay? I hope that I learned stuff along the way. But I can't remember a single lesson that they taught me. But I can remember lead to leaps. The first time that you're going to meet with a group or something like that, you're just not going to pour out your entire life story with all the messy, gory details. I would actually encourage you, don't do that, because it'll freak people out. If you did that to me, it would freak me out, so don't do that. But what happens is over time, as you take those steps of getting to know people better, we talked about this in a message a couple of weeks ago. We talked about it in terms of do the reps. But as you take those steps over time, it leads to those leaps of times that you're willing to go, hey, I want to talk about this. Not because, and this sounds weird, when we talk about like sharing your story, it's not a matter of, okay, this is the time to share your story. Like, it's a matter of you want to. You want people to be a part of the different experiences and the different things that you've had in your life. And so you want that to be the case. So steps lead to leaps. Next one is this. People must have a say. In terms of forming the groups and the people who they're going to be in a group with, people must have a say. When we first started doing groups, we had this system, and this is how it went. If you want to be in a group, sign up, and we will tell you where to go. And people were like, what? And like, yeah, just sign up, we'll tell you where to go. And people didn't like that, which, I mean, I think about it now, and I think, I don't think I would like that. Like, is that you go to this person's house. Like, it would kind of creep me out. Like, I don't know, like, what would happen if it's like, it sounds like the plot to some, like, really bad B horror movie or something like that. Like, well, I signed up for a church small group, and when I showed up, there was murder. Sorry. I could go on with the plot further in my head, but I'll stop there for the sake of all of us. People must have a say. They've got to talk about who they want to be in a group with. Because what happens is as soon as the group gets a little messy, which it is, community is always messy. Relationships are always messy. That's how you know it's important. People are going to want to jump ship right away. And the last thing that we learned is this. It's awkward but essential. Forming community is always awkward, but it's incredibly important. Anyone been to a junior high dance? Or I mean, junior high, boys stand on this side, girls stand on this side, and we've got cake punch and a DJ, and we call it a dance? Yeah. It's because forming those relationships are awkward. They're incredibly uncomfortable at first, but they're so important. And so what we did is we said, okay, these are the things that we've learned along the way. We've learned these 5 different things. How can we leverage those to create community so people can have the relationships that will make them strong? And so this is the system that we use today. We have what we refer to as community groups. The purpose of the groups is to create community. This is how they function. Your group will meet every week. Every week. At first, you make a 6-week commitment. You say, hey, I'm just going to track with these people for 6 weeks. If at the end of the 6 weeks you go, hey, this isn't working out, that's perfectly fine. You can get out of it. If you just come, hey, these aren't my people. We go, I understand exactly what you're saying. Nod your head if you understand what I'm saying. It's kind of like, they're nice, they love Jesus, but they're not my people. I'm like, okay, I'm with you. They're not your people. And so at first you make a 6-week commitment. If at the end of those 6 weeks you go, hey, these are my people, this is working, you make an 18-month commitment, which everybody's like, 18 months? Like, I have no idea what on earth I'm going to be doing 18 months from now. And I go, I know you're going to be meeting with your group, because that's, no. This is why we have 18 months, is because we've kind of seen from different stories and tracking with groups along the way, that's the time for a healthy group to meet. So that's the time that you can go deep with those people, but it doesn't become focusing inward. And so you'll meet together every week at someone's house, and you'll hang out, you'll talk, and then you'll discuss the message. This is very important. You will discuss the content of the message, not the quality of the message. That's very important to me. And so your group will get together. And so we go, okay, so how do I get in a group? And we have an event that we call Group Link. Group Link works like this. We get people in the room. We have different ways of moving people around, getting them to talk to each other. And you have about 30 minutes to talk to people, meet people, share some different interests, see people who are kind of like you. And at the end of the 30 minutes, we go, hey, if you've met some people that you like, why don't you see if you can join a group? Or if you can form a group out of those. And so circles just naturally form out of that. And then at the end of that, you have your very first group meeting. And so you talk about some different stuff. Now, I want to be very, very clear on this, because we've kind of sold is the wrong word. We've talked about Group Link kind of incorrectly, because up until now, this is how we've talked about Group Link. We've said, hey, you need to come to Group Link because Group Link is awesome, it's wonderful, you'll have a great time. Which it is if you're like the mayor. Like the person who just naturally walks around, shakes everyone's hands, and passes out cards. Like if that's you, you will want to come to every Group Link we have ever had. Like, even if you're not looking to join a group, like Group Link is your thing. If you're not that kind of person, Group Link is terrible. Okay, which I know sounds funny. Like, he's saying it's terrible, and then he's getting us to come. Like, yeah, that's what I want to show. So here's the deal. This is how I'm wired. I like really large groups. So like this for me, this is wonderful. Other people, this would not be your thing. Like, get up on stage in front of people like this. I feel so comfortable doing this. If you put me in a one-on-one conversation with someone who I don't really know, I am as awkward as it gets. And so, like, this is how most of my one-on-one conversations go. So, hey, how are you? Well, see you later. Because I have no idea what to talk about. This is why I usually keep my wife Bethany with me, because she just does small talk better than anyone else. Like, I've gotten out of, hey, how are you? And Bethany's already shared her life story. And it's like, how do you do that? Like, we had 30 seconds of awkward silence, and now you know everything about each other. Like, I don't get that. So, like for someone like me, if you're telling me we want you to come into a room with a bunch of people who you don't really know and then talk to them, I'm like, that doesn't sound fun. Now, again, if you're an extrovert, it's great. If you're more of an introvert, it is not going to be your thing. But here's the deal. This is what Group Link is. It's 30 minutes of awkwardness and being uncomfortable to be a part of something that has the ability to completely transform and change your life. Now we could do it a different way. We've seen churches that do, like, you need to go through a 10-week class to join a group. Like, that doesn't sound, you don't want to spend 10 weeks. Don't raise your hand, because we're not going to do it anyway if you're looking for that. We're not going to do that of 10 weeks to get into a group. And we're also not going to do the thing that we did before of sign up and we'll tell you where to go, because we know that people must have a say. So we say, hey, let's just do it like this. Let's spend 30 minutes. And it'll be a little awkward. It'll be a little uncomfortable. We'll even let you watch funny videos, and we'll feed you cookies along the way. But just go through that little bit of awkwardness and being uncomfortable to be a part of something that has the ability to transform your life and absolutely change everything. And so here's the deal. This is where I wanted this to sink in. A ship in the port is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. You were designed to be in community. You were designed to be in relationships with other people, people who know you. Now, I want to be really clear about this. Not people who know your name, your family members, and some of your background and where you work. Like people who know you, who know what's going on, who know what you're dealing with, who know what you're struggling with. who know your frustrations. You are designed to be in community. And getting there is always awkward. It's always a little bit uncomfortable. We kind of never fully remove ourselves from that junior high dance scenario. Because it's always kind of like that. Hey, do you want to dance? No, that's okay. Okay, that's fine. And it kind of feels the same. Hey, do you want to be in a group? Really? Okay, go. Because I was going to be in a group. And maybe we could be in a group together. Let me get my wife. It's always a little awkward. But it changes everything. It changes everything. And so here's the deal. If you'd like to be in a group, our next Group Lake event is on March 15th. If you'd like to be a part of it, we need you to sign up with a connector in the lobby. They're the people who have the little iPads who do this a lot and sign you up for the different things. And we'll kind of give you some steps along the way and let you know how it works. But here's the deal. And I just want to say this at the end. Honestly, doing this in terms of like church side, organizing it, it's really hard. Like it just is. It's just really hard. Let me tell you what would be far easier, and this is what most churches do, is they have what's called a class system. Whereas if anyone wants to teach a class, we go, hey, sign up if you want to teach a class. And then all I would have to do, like this is what my job would be, is I make clipboards up of all the different classes and I let people sign up for it. And then I'm done. Like that's all I would ever have to do. Hey, just get the clipboards and sign up, and then you're good to go. And then we'll do a new cycle and get the clipboards and sign up, and we're good to go. And so personally for me, that would be a piece of cake. And honestly, at the end of the day, there would be lots of people who would be really happy with that. Like, oh, this is great. This is easy. I'll do a class now, not do a class then. I got to meet people's names, and so I feel better because I know more people's names, even though I know nothing about these actual people. I know nothing about what's going on, but I know their names, and so I feel like I kind of know them. Like it would just be a piece of cake. But honestly, this is what I believe. If I know, because I've experienced it. Me and my wife, Bethany, we've been in a group for, good golly, like 6 years. Like, we were doing groups long before we ever started this church or anyone in that church that we were in before was doing groups. Like, we've been in groups for like 6 years because we know this is so important. And so if I know this is the thing that has the ability to transform your life, I honestly think it would be evil of me to do something else. Like, right? Like, just because it was hard and just because it was difficult and just because it was awkward at times, if I said, hey, I know this is what matters, but it's kind of difficult, so we're going to do this instead. Like, that would be wrong of me. And so, here's the deal. We're not looking to do what's easy. We are a church that is for people. We're for this community. We're for the people who are outside the walls and for the people who are inside the walls. And there is nothing, I honestly believe, there is nothing more important than being in community with other people. People who know you. People who can help you out when things go wrong. And people who can take things from okay to great. And here's the deal. If you take this step, it'll be a little awkward at first. But if you take this step, the person who you end up making strong, it could be your best friend. It could be your best friend who you haven't even met yet. It could be a neighbor. It could be a coworker. It could be a family member. You know what? It could be yourself. And that's the person who becomes strong from this. And so I desperately want this for you. I desperately want for you to know that there are people that if anything goes wrong in my life, all I have to do is send a text and they'll be there. But you don't form those relationships in the crisis. You form them when things are fine. And so I want you to be in a group. And I want to show you an example of a couple who's found exactly that.
And I'm Luke.
And we just want to talk to you a little bit about our small group.
Well, at first, needless to say, I was not really receptive to small group. When Lori signed us up for small group, I think my response was, yay, Monday night, no wife, no kids, Monday Night Football. Take as long as you need to.
True story.
But then after that, after the first few weeks of small group, I really started to enjoy it. The people that we were with and the message. We went deeper into the message every week, and that was good.
Every Monday night, that was a priority. And our kids loved going. There were tons of kids, tons of adults, good food, good fun. It was something we did every week. And if we didn't do it, we felt like our week wasn't complete.
And those are friends that we still communicate a lot with. Our children are friends.
When our first group, we stopped our first group and then we did the second group, which, we thought it was going to be a huge transition. And anyways, we love all those people. We still talk to those people, and it's just new friends that maybe you wouldn't necessarily find yourself talking to that you still talk to. And coming into the third group, it was the same thing, and we love those people. We go and we went to Hollywood Casino Friday night. That's all you can eat crab legs. Our group went. And
I don't think you should tell everyone that we go to a casino. And those are the people now that we go to with questions. Whenever I have something pressing in life that I need a little advice on, I can go to any of those guys, and I can honestly say that they are still the best friends some of the best friends that we have right now.
And I would totally agree with that. And because they're people, real people, just like us. And I don't know, people that I love to be around and I want to continue to be around and grow with and grow more spiritually with, because that's what it's all about. When we stopped our first group, we went through GroupLink, which, talking about it, it sounded kind of, I don't know, it just sounded like it would be weird, kind of like a speed dating thing. Hey, let's talk to these people, stop now, go talk to these people, and then you find people you have things in common with. It just sounded awkward.
And being the introvert that I am, I had such a hard time talking to others.
But they really made it to where it wasn't awkward. There were perfect points in time to go and talk to a different person or a different group of people, and then, I don't know, it worked out perfect. It worked out good. We went through 2 of them.
And I think the best part to me about GroupLink was just the fact that the group that we ended up with this time were not people that I thought that we would be in a group with, and ultimately it's worked out so well. I mean, after a few short months, we have done quite a few things together as a group, and just, it's been a wonderful experience.
But yeah, we can't stress enough how, even spiritually, how it's helped us grow. Even as a couple, I think, I don't know, I feel like we have gotten closer and can talk more, because initially we didn't talk much about church and things like that. That wasn't the topics of our conversation, and
I
now...
was so anti-church. I mean, I was the guy that sent my wife pregnant to church by herself on a Sunday morning while I sat home and watched NFL Live before football games started.
Again, true story. But I don't know, groups has really evolved us as a couple. It's helped us to get more involved in church, and it's just making us be a part of something bigger that I think we were really missing in our relationship, in friendships, and spiritually.
And we would have some stories that we could share with you about what's happened in group, but what happened in group stayed in group.
Thank you for being here this morning. We really appreciate it. We are glad you're here with us. You are the reason we're here, actually. And if you think that you are ready to make that step to go through the GroupLink and give up 30 minutes, then the connectors will be out in the lobby kind of milling around. They have the iPads with the blue cases. You can find them. You need to sign up. That'll be March 15th again. Our series is it is indeed a 4-week series titled 4, but it is more a 4-week statement of who we are. And if you like what you've seen so far, we're just getting started. But if you want to be involved in the giving side, you can stop by the welcome desk. We have some information so people can answer questions and kind of help you get situated with that. And the last thing I would like for everybody to do, we need this Sunday and next Sunday, we're trying to get photos of everybody with the county that you live in. We have a project we're working on that we're going to unveil in a couple of weeks, and there's a little photo booth out here. Stop by, put on a silly hat, and hold your county up so that we know where everybody lives. So thank you. Enjoy your Sunday.
And in the middle